Welcome to the Worldwide Golf Insider Podcast. Hello, everyone. Tom Brissell here. Thanks so much for joining us. Worldwide Golf, home of the 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee, and you can shop at any of our over 90 retail locations or 24/7 at worldwidegolf.com. Every couple of years, Titleist comes out with something special. Certainly that's the case this year. Joining us is the director of Metalwoods, Ms. Stephanie Luttrell. Stephanie, thanks so much for joining us. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Tom. Happy to be here to get to talk about GT drivers and fairways.
Well, first question is, did I get your title right? That wasn't one.
Yeah, Director of Metalwood Development for Titleist Golf Club R&D. Yes.
Perfect. We're 1 for 1. Second question, if you don't mind, you've been on with us in the past, but we probably have some new listeners and new viewers. Just a little insight into your day-to-day and what you do there at Titleist.
Well, my team, essentially, we take the Metalwood products, whether it be drivers, fairways, and hybrids, from a concept phase of early prototype development all the way through to mass production. And so we cover the design aspect of it with computer-aided drafting engineers, as well as development engineers that do all the supplier verification and process development, as well as testing and verification.
That's a big job, and it's certainly a big here. I want to talk about, first of all, that meeting that happened right after you launched the most successful driver line in the history of Titleist, TSR. Your touring professionals say this is the greatest thing ever. Whatever you do, don't change it. Just don't change it. But you guys look at each other and go, hey, this is as fast as the race car will go. This is as forgiving as it'll be. We've got to blow this whole thing up. How was that? I mean, that's got to be tough.
I mean, that's always the fun and the challenge as an engineer is, we don't know what we don't know. And so that aspect of continual progress and improvement and innovation, there are always new aspects that we can learn and we can grow and we can develop and to bring more performance to players. So the challenge, as you indicated, is that, players are like, I love all of these attributes of the driver. Please don't change any of those, but can you make it faster? Can you make it more consistent? And those are the benchmarks that we love as a team, to be able to strive to do better and to deliver more performance for all golfers.
Well, so let's start with the name, because TS was the family for at least I'm thinking 6 years or so. Talk about the name changed from TS family to now all new GT.
Well, there was so much new technology that we were looking to bring forward. That GT, it stands for generational technology. And it really was kind of the closing of a chapter of the Titleist Speed project. And how do we continue to advance metalwood performance and take driver, fairway, and hybrid performance to new levels? And it really necessitated a new name change just because of all the new technology that exists within the products.
So TSR, correct me if I'm wrong, was all titanium, and so you had to somehow reduce the weight of that without blowing the whole world up. Talk about what you guys did. This is intriguing.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the aspects that people might not know about how we approach metalwood design at Titleist is that we really take a very holistic and balanced approach. It's never just about one parameter or one performance objective. It's how do we take all of the attributes of performance that matter to players and bring them up to another level. And so for us, when we looked at GT and how did we elevate our performance over TSR, it started first and foremost with aerodynamics. And a few years ago, we brought in a head aerodynamicist to our team. He's a PhD, has worked in golf ball for a long time. His name's Steve Ogg. And through his research and activity, and that's that aspect I was talking about, is that we're continually learning and evolving. We were able to refine head shapes and really bring more club head speed performance to the players. And so if you look at that GT driver, you can see now shaped more like an airplane wing. So you're able to keep that flow connected to the crown and the sole. And through that, we're reducing drag and increasing club head speed for all players. But in that shaping, it really led us into a center of gravity position that was fighting against our goals and objectives. We had an objective that we wanted to move center of gravity a little lower and more forward so that we could get a better spin and launch ratio, would align CG more with face center. That would unlock more speed performance. But with this new shape, which we knew would bring more speed performance, they were fighting each other. And so that's what led to this construction and this breaking apart of the driver, and really allowing us to look at how do we engineer this product in a new way to bring more performance to players. And we're doing it with a material that hasn't been used in golf before as well. So it's our proprietary matrix polymer construction. And one of the things that, as the Titleist Metalwoods team, we strive to do is to really hit on all of those attributes, whether it be performance, speed, launch, spin, distance, but also those sensory attributes of performance that we know that players come to expect out of Titleist drivers, that they need to look, sound, and feel like a Titleist. And so the proprietary matrix polymer, what it allows us to do is to deliver multi-material construction in a way that hasn't been done before. It delivers an acoustic that is much more like a metallic driver and an all titanium driver, which we think players prefer. And that's kind of just to demonstrate for you. It's a little bit like that. So you can hear how metallic that sounds. That's the composite material that we're utilizing in GT.
And what's the percentage lighter than normal? It's just incredible how much lighter that is.
Well, it's about 4-to-1 if you consider the material versus titanium usage, which is similar to composites that have been used in the landscape before. But the real advantage to us was the fact that the matrix that holds together the composite, it now allows us to conduct sound frequency in a way that really elevates the performance in a way that we think players come to expect from Titleist drivers.
Yeah, on one of your videos on your homepage, you had Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, and they were holding that piece and saying, "Drop it," because it doesn't look like it's going to sound like that, right?
I know. About 7 years ago, our former SVP of Clubs R&D, Dan Stoney, walked into my office and he dropped a sheet of this material on my desk, and he said, "Steph, this is the future." And I said, "Dan, what is that? What metal is that?" And he said, "It's not metal, it's composite." And he goes, "Eventually, we're going to need to break out of our all titanium construction." We knew that we would come to a crossroads where we would have designs that necessitated moving into a multi-materials landscape. And he was absolutely right. It took us, 7 years to bring this material, which hasn't been used in club head design, and engineer it appropriately to meet, our design objectives. But we're very excited to bring it forward in GT, and we think that it's really elevating the performance for all players.
Well, faster gives you more club head speed, which equates to more distance. Share with us about how you increased the sweet spot, because what we're hearing also is the mishits are just incredible. If you want to call a mishit that, we all mishit the ball.
Yeah, there are a few attributes to GT that really allow us to just make it even more incredibly consistent and build upon what we had done with TSR. The first, with this construction, as we break it apart and you look inside the head, you can see that we've utilized and placed our discretionary mass more discreetly. So we call it split mass construction, but there's a large mass pad low and forward. There's a large amount of discretionary mass in the aft, and that low forward CG balancing it with the high inertia in the back, essentially that creates this lower gear effect side spin. It's also allowing us to move center of gravity closer to face center. That, in essence, as you impact the ball close to face center, it's going to lead to more momentum and collision response and more ball speed out of that. And then you pair that with the face insert technology that we have. So with TSR3, we had brought forward our first generation of a technology called Speed Ring. As we continued to study, I like to think as engineers, anytime you do something for the first time, you can always improve upon it in the future. Yeah. And so Speed Ring plus VFT and GET, it's utilized across all of our driver models. And essentially how Speed Ring works is it's a thickened portion around the face perimeter that constrains that, but it leads to more local deflection at face center. What that means to golfers is it translates into more ball speed on center, which all of us want to have. And then you pair that with a VFT pattern, which we utilize our finite element analysis, essentially artificial intelligence, to be able to help us to drive solutions towards creating maximum ball speed across the entire face. those two in combination, now you get the best of both worlds. You get fast on fast performance. So you get maximum ball speed on center and also consistent ball speed off center. And we've seen that through and through in the testing that we've done with our tour players as well. That, Cam Young was an excellent example. When we were first doing prototype seeding with GT and testing with him, Cam loves to hit kind of a control shot out of the heel. And with his TSR3, you'd see, ball speed might drop a mile and a half on him. And you'd see spin also elevate up pretty significantly, upwards of 3,000 RPMs. But moving into GT3, what he experienced was that the ball speed was within a half mile an hour, and his spin was now in that 24 to 2,600. And relative to his kind of stock shot out of the middle of the face, he lives in like a 10, 2,200. That meant that he was a lot closer to that on that control shot. So he could go to it more often without leaving distance on the table, which he felt like that was a win-win for him.
Yeah, you mentioned Cam. Share with us some of the other tour players as far as what their first response was when JJ was putting that in their hands. They say, hit your club, hit your TSR. Now we want you to try this. What were the one or two things that were consistent amongst those?
I think, one great example we saw, Billy Horschel was one. And, Billy's been able to win with GT now at the BMW championship. And one thing that Billy saw through and through, he saw the speed shine through immediately. So his club head speed was up, his ball speed was up, and it was incredibly consistent. But he also saw the spin consistency. And that's something that when we were in the R&D phase and we were doing our prototype testing, we knew that we had engineered it for that parameter and that players should experience that. But to actually see players notice it, respond to it, and absolutely lead to their downrange distance consistency improvement and control, we saw that shine through and through. Ben On was another example. He's a player that he just won within the past week, but he tests GT4, and within 3 swings, he saw his ball speed and club speed up. He was up about a mile to 2 miles an hour. 3 to 5 yards of total distance increase. And he goes, all right, I'm done. I took 5 swings. Let me go play it on the golf course and let me see what I think. And so those are great validation stories. But as we've launched this throughout, the U.S. and globally, we've continued to see those metrics shine through, and that players are seeing the speed, they're seeing higher launch, they're seeing lower spin, and they're seeing the spin consistency. And that's one of those attributes that we think are really kind of that balanced approach with our design, that it's not about one parameter, but it's about how do we take everything from club speed to ball speed to trajectory to then having the best fitting tools as well to allow JJ and the team and our network of fitters to unlock performance for players.
I love Will Zalatoris. First words out of his mouth were, "Oh my word, that's crazy."
Yes.
And Jordan's the same look, same feel, but somehow the performance is better,
Yeah, Will is absolutely a great first impressions guy. The joy that he gets from hitting new product and taking it through its paces, it's one of those ones that we love to see that. And for Jordan's a player that, he really loves what he is currently playing. So as we sought to design GT, one of the things that players have probably noticed, and I kind of got a quick chuckle out of it when we launched it on tours. Everyone's like, oh, same old from Titleist, right? It looks exactly the same because all the technology is under the hood. And that's something that when we had Jordan and Justin experience GT for the first time, you could see their look of concern when I took the product and I kind of shown it in this blown apart demonstration piece. But then we opened the drawer of the tour truck and pulled out the drivers, and they said, oh my goodness, I'm so happy to see that it looks like my driver. And that's something that was born out of conversations between JJ and our team that, the last thing we want is for a player to say, well, I can't put this into play because I don't feel comfortable over it, right? And so the more that we can inspire confidence in the address position, and that's really where a lot of our classic looks come from in terms of being able to allow a player to set it down behind the golf ball, have no competing lines, be able to set it up with confidence and swing, and really maximize their performance out of the gate.
Let's say you have an average golfer hasn't upgraded their driver 4 or 6 years or so. Like me, I'm still in TS, so that's what 6 years. Okay, What are the,
You're
what are they,
due, Tom.
what, what are they going to notice when they go to something like this? Do you think it'll be varied? Will it be the distance? Will it be the mishits? Will it be all the above?
I think I would say D, all of the above, or C,
Yeah.
all of the above.
Yeah.
As we move from each generation products, we actually just ran a fun test the other week where we had someone hit 913 D2, TS2, and then GT2, just to compare and contrast the performance of it. And, I had to go back and refresh my memory as well. 913 was many, many years ago. And as you indicate, TS2 was about 6 years ago. And so being able to look at what we would expect from a performance perspective, I expect that players will see lower spin out of the new products. That tends to lead towards more distance for a lot of the players, obviously, and we want players to be fit and to really dial in performance through that. But also the technologies that we've brought forth with the head shaping and the aerodynamics, and as we've continued to evolve our face insert technologies and our center gravity positions to allow all golfers to swing these clubs faster and to experience more speed. Traveling from that 913 D2 up to a TS2, the player that we were experimenting with saw a 20-yard gain, and that was without fitting. It was just hitting it straight out of the gate. And so there's definitely distance to be seen on the table, and also the consistency. We saw that their ball speed and their spin consistency was incredibly tight with GT versus TS2 as well.
20 yards without being fit. My
I
goodness.
know.
Well, let's talk about being fit. Two more questions before I let you go, because I know you're busy, but we really appreciate this. With all of this, even though it looks the same, like you say, you lift the hood, there's something totally different on there. Talk about the importance of, even though you may be a Titleist customer right now, talk about the importance of going through a custom fitting in one of our Worldwide Golf retail locations to make sure you're not taking any chances that you've got the right club for you.
Yeah, one of the things that I love to encourage all players to do is to hit every model within the GT lineup, whether it be GT2, 3, or 4 driver, or to look at GT2 and 3 fairways as well. Allow yourself to experiment. Don't come in with a preconditioned mindset of what you think you might need. In the hands of the best fitters, they can absolutely unlock more performance for you. And with the GT series in particular, we've got different fitting technologies in each platform. Obviously, all of them leverage our industry-leading SureFit Tour hosel technology. And the reason why I say that it industry-leading is because it is the only hosel system that allows you to independently adjust loft and lie. And that's a real key. You can adjust loft to really optimize your launch and your spin, and you can adjust lie to independently affect your start direction on that. And it's particularly important with fairway and hybrid designs as well, to be able to dial in that turf interaction. And then you complement that with the fact that in GT3, we've got heel toe CG adjustability. In GT4, we've got fore aft CG adjustability, so you can dial in launch and spin in that regard. And then in all models, we've got head weight adjustability. And so those attributes of being able to allow a player to not only dial in their length, their hosel setting, to dial in launch and spin, but also to dial in that head weight to maximize their ball speed and consistency. All of those attributes can help players to unlock more performance. I play with a lot of players and they're like, well, I don't think I'm good enough to go be custom fit, or I'm not consistent enough. And then to see them go through a fitting experience and say, we're not here to give you a lesson, but we're here to really approach it with what is your golf swing and how do we help you gain performance. And in the hands of a great fitter, all players can experience gains through that customization and optimization of the product for their particular needs.
So well said. If they think they're not good enough to be fit, they're the actual person that really does need to be fit. Stephanie, we'll get you out of here on this one. When we do our club count every week of winners and what they have in their bag, and we put it out there, seeing more and more tour players, non-Titleist players, or players that are independent, playing a mixed bag, are playing that GT fairway wood. Talk about just briefly the fairway wood, because it is phenomenal.
Yeah, Tom Bennett, who's on our team, he's our principal product manager, and he leads our fairway and hybrid design categories with the team. And he's done an amazing job. Really, when we queried the marketplace as well as tour, we said, what do you want to see out of fairway performance? And every single person said, fairways are the hardest golf clubs to hit in the bag. How do we make them elevate? How do we make them get up in the air with ease? And so GT fairways absolutely deliver on that. A great example of it is when we were doing our early seeding, Max Homa, JJ handed the fairway wood to him, and he was playing the GT2 13.5, and it was in a completely different window that Max didn't expect to see. He goes, I have no idea where that golf ball just went, and it was about 10 feet higher than what he expected to see. And he was absolutely tickled pink, you could say, with regards to seeing that ball fly in that way. And so I think for all players, one of the things you can expect to see, Tom's been able to lower center of gravity. That's helping to drive more elevated ball flight. We've also got a new face technology in our fairway woods. So we've got an L cup design, which is helping us to deliver more ball speed on low face impacts, as well as spin consistency on those low face impacts. And, as we know, fairway woods are used from the tee and from the turf. So the more playable we can make them from both of those conditions, the fairway woods have really been the surprise and delight in the GT line for a lot of our staffers. And we're continuing to see those counts grow. In particular, you see huge trends on tour with high lofted fairway wood usage, 5 woods, 7 woods going into the bags of players. And GT2 offers both of those. And in GT3, we've got a 5 wood as well.
Stephanie, thanks so much for joining us. It's always great catching up with you this time every 2 years, and we do it sometimes at the show as well. But hey, you did such a good job. I'm going to let you close this episode out. How about some final words for our audience?
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity, Tom, to talk about GT. I really encourage all players to go out and hit GT and test it for yourselves and be fit. I really believe that you're going to find great performance within the lineup, and look forward to hearing their stories about what they experience with GT on the course.
Stephanie Luttrell, thanks so much for doing it. Great to catch up with you.
You as well, Tom. Take care.